My name is Sophie Minnick, and today I'm going to be talking about the history of the Bible and everything that it's gone through to be where it is today. The Bible can actually be dated back to 300 or 3,500 years ago. It was written by multiple different people, so let's start at the beginning of this story. As a Christian, I think it's important that we know our background and where the Bible came from. Even for those who are not Christians, the Bible has a very intriguing background and shares an important story. The Bible has been curated and put together over thousands of years through a complex journey of cultural, religious, and linguistic evolution, and has continuously affected multiple around the world and society as a whole. I have done very thorough research on this topic and feel that I am well educated on the subject. So first, I will be talking about the Old Testament, the foundations of Judaism, and the Dead Sea Scrolls. Second, I will be covering the New Testament and the first Bible in English. And finally, I will tell you about different versions and translations of the Bible and the Bible today. So, starting with the Old Testament, the Old Testament is a foundation for both Christianity and Judaism and has been composed over a very long stretch of time by at least 40 different authors, which really contrasts to the New Testament, which covers a much shorter period of time. So multiple of the well-known scribes include David, Moses, Solomon, and then there were some lesser-known scribes like Deborah and Miriam who don't get enough recognition, I feel like. So Deborah was actually a very prominent figure in society, a prophetess, judge, and military leader in ancient Israel. Miriam was the sister of Moses, also played a prominent role in the story of Exodus, where she rescued Moses when he was just a baby. She played a leader for many of the women in Israel, encouraging them to sing and dance after the Israelites crossed the Red Sea. So the Old Testament was written in classical Hebrew and imperial Aramaic. Materials, there were a lot of different materials used as writing surfaces, like stone. For example, the Ten Commandments were preserved in stone. People used clay, wooden tablets, and then papyrus manuscripts and scrolls and animal skins, anything like that. There are 39 books, and it ends with the birth of Jesus. And it's been translated and copied multiple times using textual criticism to compare differing variants of the Old Testament in order to gather the most accurate interpretation and translation. It focuses more on the history of Israel, God's law, and God's covenant to the Israelites. The Dead Sea Scrolls were a major component of the Old Testament, and it is said to be a collection of Hebrew and Aramaic manuscripts, quoted from Wagnalls. So they were actually discovered in 1947. These scrolls include teachings on hymn books, discipline, apocalyptic writings. They are a foundation in Judaism, along with the Old Testament and the Torah. And the Torah, if you didn't know, is the first 5 books in the Hebrew Bible: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, which is considered the law of God. So now for the New Testament. The New Testament was actually non-existent during New Testament times and wasn't written until decades after the crucifixion of Jesus. The New Testament has a deep and intriguing history, and it had a very significant impact on many around the world. Similar to the Old Testament, it contains various kinds of writing. It has 27 books. The first of those are the Gospels, which are the account of Jesus' life. It includes his life, death, and resurrection. The word gospel actually comes from the Greek word evangelion, which means good news. The Acts of Apostles are the history of the early church. The epistles are the letters from apostles to early churches. And then the book of Revelation is about the ultimate triumph of good over evil, particularly the victory of Jesus Christ over Satan and his forces. So the New Testament is actually not arranged in chronological order. It covers a relatively short amount of time compared to the Old Testament, like I said before. It focuses on Jesus Christ's life, teachings, death, resurrection, and the establishment of the Christian church. It was originally written in Greek, and it covers the time from the birth of Jesus through 1st century AD. So now I'm going to talk about some of the translations. The Bible has been translated into 3,756 languages after originally being written in Greek, Aramaic, and Hebrew. And there are 5 primary English translations well known and read today. So I'm going to cover all 5 of those. So the New International Version was released in 1978, and it's a completely original translation. The King James Version was published in 1611 by King James I of England. It is a higher reading level than the first one that I said, and it is the preferred translation by many Protestants. The English Standard Version is the translation of the Bible in contemporary English. It was published in 2001 and considered essentially literal, as it is aimed to have precise wording and mimic personal style of each Bible writer. The New Living Translation was published in 1996, and it's a simplified English translation considered to be the easiest translation to follow. The Christian Standard Bible, which was published in 2017, was translated to be a 7th grade reading level and has less interpretations than the other versions. Translations can be word for word or thought for thought. It kind of just depends with each of the translations. So today I have discussed the lengthy process of creating the Old Testament and the thought put into it. Next I covered how we got the New Testament and the teachings it includes. And finally, I shared information about the translations we commonly see today of the Bible and how these compare to one another. So the Bible has been assembled over thousands of years and has been tweaked and modified multiple times and has had a lasting impact on Christians around the world. I hope you enjoyed hearing about the lengthy history of the Bible, and we can all appreciate the time and effort that has been put into it. Thank you.